Hi, we're Pegboard nerds.
I'm Michael. Yeah, I'm Michael. I'm from Denmark. I started making music back in 1989. Before that, I was doing radio, and I got into making music because I thought that acid house music and 80s hip hop was super exciting, and I wanted to know how that was made. So I started saving up, doing paper routes to buy my first gear, and I bought a TR-909 and a Roland TB-303, Juno 6, Juno 106, and an old reverb unit. But I didn't make music, full time, so I am also an audiologist. I haven't practiced that for ages, but yeah, that's who I am.
Did you know you can't do a paper route anymore? Because it's all digital. I can't. It's sad. Yeah. Okay. I'm Alex, or Alexander, if you want to be specific about it, from Norway. I used to do landscaping and graphic design, two wildly different fields of work, I guess. I started making music in 1996 when I went to a LAN party called The Gathering in Norway, where I saw someone make music using a piece of software called Fast Tracker. So I was intrigued, and I acquired it illegally. Wanted to my first synths were the JP8000 with the original super saw, and some Waldorf synths. My first release was in 2004.
And in 2004 was when Alex and I met. We met because I was doing another project at the time, and I was always curious about new music, and this name Flipside came up on some of the releases I bought. I was also a DJ at the time, so I was playing a lot of shows. And this came up, and I was like, God damn it, that sound design is fucking amazing. I need to figure out who that is. So I called up the guys that released the record back then. I was playing trance music, so it was trance back then. And I got his email, and I emailed him and said, hey, do you want to do a remix for me? And that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of crazy because I had not gotten any kind of, what do you call it, like recognition outside of Norway at the time. The track had come out, but so getting Michael's email and him telling me his the stuff that he'd worked on, I was just like, holy shit, I've listened to this and this and this and this. You mean you produced all this? So I was super excited to someone noticed something. So that was
it was a good time. So we've basically been married ever since. And that was back in 2004. And as some of you might know, Pegboard Nerds is not that old. We haven't released records under that name. We started Pegboard Nerds back in 2012. So in those 8 years, what we did was we did a shitload of remixes under various names and a lot of ghost productions. We probably made between 100 and 200 releases in those 8 years.
It was definitely my 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah, and then we kind of thought we were kind of tired of the whole scene about how it sounded, and it was just all the same. It was boring, blah blah blah, and that was both the house scene, the techno scene, the trance scene. So we almost gave up, actually, and then Alex, he was like, no, we have to do something which is what we want to do, not what we expect other people want to hear. And then he introduced me to Pendulum. I was like, whoa, that was insane. Yeah. And then Skrillex, of course, and we were like, okay, that's interesting. Let's try and do our take on it. And that's kind of how it started.
There was like a shift, and there was a lot of stuff happening around 2012. I want to say like there was a shift in the music scene. Music software was getting way better. You could actually use soft synths because you couldn't before that. They sounded like shit. Very like digital sounding in a bad way. Yeah, plastic, whatever. So you know, there are certain moments in time where a lot of things sort of like start coming together. Things that are within and outside of your influence, I want to say. And yeah, so we just decided to stop doing random anonymous remixes and ghost productions and just put our own name on it. And I mean, that's its own story, how that came to be.
Yeah, that's basically it. And the name Pegboard Nerds is really weird. We think that it's weird too. But we were sitting in the studio one day and we wanted to figure out, so what should we call this new thing we wanted to do? And like all the cool names were taken. We searched online, it was just impossible to find a good name. And then Alex was like, hey, I have this anagram generator. Let's test it. And we did, and we put in our last names, and up came like bearded prongs,
Badgered,
porns,
and just like...
And Pegboard Nerds came up. And we were like, holy shit, that's funny. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's go on to the next one. And we like kept coming back, and that's kind of how it turned out. Yeah. So it's basically an anagram. And we thought it kind of fit what we wanted to do because we're like into the 8-bit thing and computer games. We felt we were a bit nerdy, so it was kind of a good.
It made sense once we got to think about it for a minute. It's not a super sexy name, you know. It doesn't have. It's not like boom bam, or you know, it doesn't have like 2 syllables. It's like Pegboard Nerds, and every time we're flying into the U.S. and they're like, "So what do you do? We make music. What's your name?" We're Pegboard Nerds. And they're like, "What?"
And the TSA agent, he's like, "That's a stupid name."
Yeah.
Yep. That is a stupid name.
Yeah. One of the guys said that. He was like, "You should change that." We're like, "All right, cool."
Thank you. Yeah, but that's kind of our story. I do want to say one thing though, that one of the records that made me discover Alex that came onto my radar was he won a remix competition for Above and Beyond, the satellite track, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then like the week after or like a month after, another record came up with that name, and it was just as fantastic. And I'm like, okay, I gotta talk to this guy. So yeah.
It's funny though, is the first remix Michael had me do never came out.
Never came out.
It was due to other
circumstances.
Yeah, but
universal. Yeah, but that's kind of what it is. So I guess enough talk about us. That's kind of boring. So let's talk about why we're here.